Hi guys, welcome back to my channel Soul Sauce. This is your girl Anvi, and today I'm going to be talking about 5 books that have had a huge impact on me. Obviously, it was very difficult for me to pick just 5 books, but to start with, in this first installment, I'm going to be talking about 5. And honestly, I don't think this would be the first and the last video. There are so many books, so many wonderful books that I have really enjoyed, that have really changed my perspectives, that have really impacted me. And I'm sure there are going to be more installments of this coming up. But yes, for today's video, let's get started. The first book that I want to talk about is The Bridge of St. Louis by Thornton Wilder. And oh my god, where do I start with this one? Now, this is a very deceptively small novel, small book, but there is so much packed into it. There is so much of human psychology and philosophy packed into it. Now, this novel takes place in Peru, and a Franciscan friar, which is basically a religious mendicant order of men, is watching as 5 people cross the bridge which connects Lima and Cusco. This bridge is made up of rope, and while these 5 people are crossing the bridge, the rope gives way. It's supposed to be like a very ancient bridge, and the 5 people tragically fall to their deaths into the valley and into the river below. Now, this Franciscan friar who witnesses this tragedy is struck with unending questions, unending philosophical and religious questions. He starts wondering, why is it that it was these 5 people who met their deaths in this way? I mean, it could have been him while he was crossing the bridge and the rope would have given way. It could have been absolutely anybody else. But why is it that these 5 people met their death in this way? Is it because they are really bad people, or is it because they are good people who are being punished for certain sins or whatever? And because he's bombarded with these kind of questions in his mind, he sets out to find out more about these 5 people. And that is the crux of the entire novel. These 5 people are from different parts of society, and each person's story is so beautifully told, is so different, so varied, and so heart-wrenching. And it really gives you a very deep insight into the human condition, into the human life. Now, one of the greatest challenges with novels of these kinds are the ending, which in this case I thought was actually well done. I don't want to give away too much here, because in case you haven't read the novel, I would highly recommend that you go pick it up as soon as possible. My second pick is Virginia Woolf's A Room of One's Own. Now, I absolutely adore Virginia Woolf and all her works, but this book is what I specifically picked out because of a lot of reasons. One, of course, it's a short read, so if you want to introduce yourself into the works of Virginia and her writing style, this would be the perfect place to start. And personally for me, this book marks a very important time in my life. This is the book which, after I finished reading, really inspired me to take up writing in a very serious and in a very critical manner. Now, I've been a voracious reader since I was a child. I've been reading non-stop, I've been writing, I've been letting my creativity flow. But after I read this book, it really made me sit back and realize the power that writing holds, the power that literature holds to literally change the course of thought for centuries to come. That's the power of words, and that's the power of literature. So yeah, after I read this book, I really took to writing seriously, and I've been working on the craft ever since. Now, this book is also a pretty small work, but extremely power-packed, and it is touted as a feminist book. I would personally argue that it is much more than just a feminist book. There is so much of creativity in it, and there is so much of imagination. Yet everything is put in such a simple and profound manner. Talking about feminism itself, which is obviously the main theme of this book, I think in today's world especially, there is a lot of jargon surrounding feminism and every other idea, to be honest. Now, I know I might get a lot of criticism for this, but I have to be honest and I have to say what I feel. Um, this book really puts the idea of feminism in a very straightforward, simple manner. There is so much of insight in it, there is so much of nuance into its thoughts, and it is not about this hue and cry of, oh, women have to have the equal rights. It's not just about that, it's about also supporting that with extremely valid, extremely reasonable, and extremely powerful objectives and reasons and statements. And of course, as I said, I adore Virginia Woolf's writing style, its stream of consciousness. I'm not saying that all of her books are as simple as this one is. And to be honest, I don't think literature or any art for that matter needs to be simple. I think that's also one of the other challenges of literature, where it's not just about the theme that you're talking about, it's not just about the story, the plot, and the characters, but also the challenges that you put across in your writing style itself. And that to me is probably one of the biggest things that Virginia Woolf has done for literature. And yes, personally for me, it did take time for me to digest all of her other novels, but totally worth it, and I absolutely, absolutely adore it. If you want to get started with Virginia Woolf, or if you're looking for something to do with feminism and something that is thought-provoking, then yes, go and pick this up. The third book for today is Near to the Wild Heart by Clarice Lispector. This novel is also written in the stream of consciousness style, and the author was just 23, I think, when she wrote this. So the freshness of her perspective, the freshness of her energy, the freshness of thought, the freshness of style is so very obvious and apparent in this novel. It's an absolute delight to read it. Needless to say, this is kind of a slow read. It takes you into the depths of the narrator's mind and heart and what she's thinking, rather than just the external plot and situations, which personally I really love this kind of novels and stories. So if this is something that you're interested in, then this is definitely up your alley. The novel basically follows the narrator Joanna from when she's a child to when she grows up and gets married. It gives a very detailed peek into her mind, which is she's pretty wild and she's pretty creative. So it gives a very detailed peek into her thoughts and her perceptions of the world and the people in it. The theme of morality is also touched upon in this novel. This is basically explored in her relationship with her husband, his actions and her own reactions to his actions. Here again, I don't want to give away too much of the plot and the novel, but yes, this is a book that I have read almost thrice by now. So I would highly recommend that you go pick this up as well. The next book is On Earth We Are Briefly Gorgeous by Ocean Vuong. It's probably one of the best contemporary novels that I have read so far. I think for me, the most beautiful part of it was the use of language. It's extremely lyrical, it's extremely musical, it's very delicate, and again, some of the metaphors and the similes and the ideas and the descriptions are so very poetic, so very nuanced, yet at the same time they're not very hard to digest and to understand. The whole novel is written in the form of a letter from the author to his mother, and he recollects their life as Vietnam War refugees in the USA, their experiences, their turmoils, their struggles, and also their everyday, laughs and tears. It's absolutely delightfully done. The final novel for today is Americanah by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, a Nigerian writer. The main theme of this novel is identity, and especially the identity and the struggles of Black people in a white westernized world. What I personally really adored about this novel is that the writer has shown a very beautiful contrast of the characters' lives in their own country in Nigeria among their own people. And then when they move to the US, what is the actual difference? Because I think a lot of times we talk about racism without actually understanding how, why, when, where, if that makes sense. So, this really gave a proper insight into what their actual lives are in their home country and why is it that they face the struggles that they actually face when they move to USA or UK or any other westernized countries. This novel is also a love story between the two main characters, Obins and Ifemilu. Both of them are very powerful people, very individualistic people, and there are a lot of beautiful moments in their story, which starts from their childhood in school to later on in life. One of the parts that I really liked was where Ifemilu, she has moved to the US and she has not been successful in finding a job, and her desperation for financial security leads her to a situation which puts her dignity at stake. And that incident affects her so much that she cuts contact, complete contact with Obins. And she does that not because she's afraid of what he thinks of her, but rather it comes from a place of her own inner turmoil and how she's not able to face herself. So I think these kind of nuances and this kind of play of emotions between the characters were also very well done. This is a very, I must say, it's a pretty heavy novel. It traces their lives from their childhood to their older life, so obviously it's a big read. But yes, definitely worth it, and I would absolutely recommend this as well. I really hope you enjoyed the video. As I said, it's really difficult to pick just 5 books that have changed my life or have impacted me, but I'm definitely going to be doing more of these. I have also linked all the 5 books that I have spoken about down below in the description. So please feel free to go check out the books and let me know what you thought about them. Until next time, take care.